I read the other day that the Railway Museum was moving a bridge to locomotion, and it got me thinking, what bridge? There's a bridge in the Great Hall, but that can't be it. Firstly, the photos show it to be outside, and secondly, it looks nothing like the passenger bridge. It turns out that this particular bridge was in the one place I rarely ventured, the car park. So I decided to do a bit of digging, and what I found fascinated me. It was no secret that one of the keys to the North's wealth lay in the ground, in the little black rocks that were used to fuel the Industrial Revolution, and none was this felt more than in County Durham. Coal from inland mines were taken away on pack horses using unstable and dangerous roads, and the work was slow and limited by what the horses could pull. While several improvements were considered, including a proposal for a canal, it was Welsh engineer George Overton that proposed the first tramroad railway. George Stephenson and young and up-and-coming engineer Robert Stephenson also backed the project, with Quaker supporter Edward Pease also offering his support and weight. The original plan did not run smoothly. The route was planned to run through the Earl of Darlington's estate, and more importantly, his fox hunting grounds. The Earl was not happy that one of his favourite and most profitable grounds was going to be effectively cut in half, so he opposed the plan and created such a stink about it that the railway failed to get assent in Parliament. In 1820, a secondary plan was brought forward with a new route that bypassed the estate altogether. After some legal wrangling and a forced route change yet again, owing to one of the Viscounts not making an agreement over his land, Parliament finally signed off on the project, and thanks to Edward Pease's influence and money, the line got royal assent in 1821. The new proposed line was also what we would not expect from a railway. For one, anyone could use the line from whatever vehicle they pleased, as long as they paid the toll. This meant that wagons could be in all shapes and sizes and had no uniformity. The line also had the opportunity to be connected to branch lines and junctions. Even though Overton had the surveys and planned the railway, Edward Pease, now one of the most influential financiers of the line, reached out to George Stephenson to help build it. Stephenson produced a fresh survey and recommended using malleable iron rails as opposed to cast iron. And from the survey, he recommended a fresh route. It was shorter, but it avoided deep cuttings and tunnels. Stephenson also wanted to be more select in the type of vehicle used and lobbied for the use of locomotives or movable engines, but needed to convince Edward of the plan. In 1822, Edward visited the Hetton Colliery Railway and was introduced to their locomotives. Needless to say, he was impressed and agreed that the line would work best steam-hauled. Finally, in 1823, the route was finalised and the amendments were made, and the whole project was ready to roll. One of the many branch lines the Stockton and Darlington Railway would service was the line serving the Witton Park Colliery. This line proved difficult. Its two inclines would mean that rope pulley systems were needed to be used, but in between them sits the valley and the Gaunless River. Stephenson could have used brick, but instead he decided to create a new type of bridge entirely, one from iron. He submitted the plans in late 1822, where the board approved them. After getting the green light, he set to work casting the bridge, using a company called Burrell and Company. The use of the company made sense on many levels. Stephenson's company and the ironworks were literally next-door neighbours, and George was a partner in the firm. To give the line foundation, 2 stone abutments were built either side of the river. To give the bridge extra strength and support, Stephenson used what is known as the lentricular design. Lentricular involved shaping 2 girders into a lens shape, with one girder above and one below. The upper girder is in compression, while the lower was in tension. The two together form a balance and cancel each other's forces out, meaning that the structure was incredibly strong despite its size. To help keep the lens shape and to help with weight transfer, vertical girders were installed to connect the lenses to the upper weight-bearing deck of the bridge. To help with further support, 3 leg spans were installed under the bridge where each lens met. Although the lentricular design would eventually be patented in the 1870s, this bridge was confirmed the first ever to use this design, but even for this type of bridge, it was unusual. Most lentricular bridges have the deck running through the structure and trusses, but Stephenson had his running on top of it. Because of its material, the bridge was able to be constructed off-site and was incredibly quick to produce, as far as bridges go in that time period. Less than a year after Stephenson got the thumbs up, the bridge was not only built, but it was on site and constructed. However, before the bridge saw traffic, heavy snows and flooding had caused the river to flood and damaged the bridge. The bridge was repaired with a new span and 2 iron supports adjacent to the abutments, meaning for the first time in history, the iron bridge was self-supporting. On the 27th of September 1825, thousands of people gathered at the line side to witness the marvel of the new railway. They knew it was something extra special, and the carnival-like atmosphere would have reached fever pitch as the first of the colliery wagons came into view. Horses would appear drawing the 12 2-ton wagons to Effingham, where the train would be connected to stationary engines, ready for the incline, while others watch in awe as 13 flour wagons rolled down Burstleton Hill to the new gleaming steam engine locomotion number 1, who was fired and ready to take the world's first load of passengers and freight. The Gaunless Bridge at first would only be used for the movement of coal and powered by horse and cart, but in time, passengers and steam locomotives would use the bridge, and the bridge would remain untouched and part of everyday working life in the Durham area. But over time, and as engines got larger and loads got larger, it was clear the structure wasn't going to cope. In 1901, a decision was made to dismantle the bridge so that a new structure could be placed on the stone abutments to take the heavier loads. Rather than scrap the bridge, it was cut at the trestle's legs and put into the Bristleton Colliery under storage. The bridge remained at the colliery untouched until 1928, when a new museum proposed by the LNER was opened on Queen Street in York. The bridge remained there until 1975, where the bridge was moved to overlook the cafe. Over time, while the bridge remained in the same position, the cafe had moved and was now becoming hidden at the back of what we now know as the car park. Meanwhile, plans were afoot where the bridge used to call home. The old line had long since closed down, and the bridge that had replaced Stephenson's design was long gone. The only sign that there'd been a bridge at all were the twin abutments. The abutments were getting old and vandalised. Trees and vegetations were eroding the structure, causing it to be dangerous. A few months ago, a £160,000 grant was awarded from Historic England to the Stockton and Darlington Heritage Action Zone to restore the abutments and the 26-mile railway into a walkway and cycle route, including a new bridge deck, so people can span the Gaunless once again. It is hoped that the route will be finished by 2025, in time for the bicentennial of the railway. But what of the bridge? Well, as of this week, the bridge is going home to locomotion. And this time, the move is permanent. The move has been on the cards for a few years, but was put on hold due to a number of factors. However, after a good clean and some reconstruction, it's hope that the bridge will be on display a stone's throw away from when it was first used.